Morning, everyone. Welcome to the new year, 2026, which is wild because some of us were led to believe we'd have hoverboards in 2026. Anybody here get a hoverboard this year? Okay. All right. Well, I dwell in hope. And now is a time when anyone of any age is welcome to come and join us up front so that you can get a better look. I've got a story to share with you today that I love. It's called A Book of Endless Possibilities. The end is just the beginning, and it's written by Mike Bender, and I love Diana Mayo's illustrations, so I'm really excited to share those with you. Hi, everybody.
I'm a chick.
You're a chick? Well, I still am going to surprise you with what I do next. I'm just letting you know. So here, there we go. So there's our cover. And I know you like butterflies, little chick, so I thought you would like that. But check this out. The end. Were you expecting? Raise your hand if you're expecting me to say that right now. No? Okay. That's right, though. You did read it correctly. You've reached the end and the beginning. But wait, how can a story possibly start with the end? That's ridiculous. Well, prepare to have your mind blown, because the end isn't really the end. It's just the beginning of something else. Like, this beautiful sunset sure seems like the end of the day, right? Not so fast. You see, when the sun goes down, it's actually just the beginning of night. When all the snow melts at the end of winter, that just means it's the beginning of spring. I'm still a little bummed out about it sometimes, though, if I'm being real honest. You too? If you try to go to the ends of the earth, you'll actually just keep going back to the beginning, because the earth is one big circle. If you blast off in a rocket ship, you'll reach the end of the sky, otherwise known as the beginning of outer space. When you count, the end of one number is just the beginning of the next number, and so on, and so on, and so on, all the way to infinity, which... Oh, yeah? I don't know if she made it up. I think she's got some corroboration there. Do you know what corroboration is? That means other people agree with her, that numbers go to infinity. Yeah, infinity never ends. We could try, but this is why Buzz Lightyear says to infinity and beyond, right? Because you get to infinity and there's just more infinity. It's kind of surprising like that. Yep. Even a sign that literally says dead end isn't dead at all. It's only just the beginning of whatever lies beyond it. So when you really think about it, the end is entirely endless. The end of a disagreement with someone is often just the beginning of making up. The end of a mistake, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, is just the beginning of learning something new. The end of being sick is just the beginning of feeling better. The end of dinner is just the beginning of dessert. And if you're really well behaved, which I promise I am, it might just be the beginning of more dessert. You'll play your cards right. So tonight, when you turn off the lights and go to bed, don't think of it as the end of anything. Just think of it as the beginning of a new tomorrow full of possibilities, just as this is the beginning of discovering the next book. Butterfly indeed. And now, let us float our way out to our religious education groups. To new learning. Hello, puppy. May your lips
bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
Morning again. It's lovely to see you all. So before we get into today's sermon, I just want to thank, even though she's not here, I want to thank Reverend Dawn for her willingness to let me come up here from Columbus, Indiana, and preach. I'm the intern minister down at the UU Church in Columbus, currently in my third year of seminary. I am reasonably new to the Midwest and totally new to Indiana. I've driven through it a few times, but that's about it. And I do have to say that y'all are really friendly here. I've been so warmly welcomed by the congregation down in Columbus. I'm just completing my first semester of 4 semesters as an intern down there. So I've just been warmly welcomed by that congregation, and it seems like everywhere I go in the Midwest, I encounter this same warm, welcoming quality. I'm originally from West Texas, and though we often, and for good reason, we Texans get a bad rap, we do have a similar warmth. So being here in Indiana has felt a lot like home. I have been, just a bit about me, I've been living in Sweden for the last 14 years. I moved there in 2011 because I married a Swede. Together we have 2 half Swedish, half American teenage daughters. And I also have an older 100% all beef American son from an earlier relationship who lives in Denver. So that's just a little bit more about me. I'm grateful to be here. And again, thanks to Reverend Dawn for enabling me to log some more flight hours in the pulpit. And also thank you, Jim, for your help with the service. So, as we kick off this new year, I'd like us to explore the idea of what makes a good beginning. What is a good beginning? What is a beginning, even? Are beginnings really real? As in the book we just said, do things actually begin, or are all beginnings just part of a cycle of birth, life, death, rebirth, some eternal process of coming together and falling apart, just another aspect of an impermanent continuum of involving moments, kind of like we saw in the story of the Taoist farmer? Questions come up for me around this, like, before I was here in this body, where was I? Did I exist? Was there a beginning to this concept that I have of me? Was there a single moment where I began? Or am I just a manifestation of everything I've experienced in my life? And what about other beginnings? Beginning of a job, a new career. Certainly those are beginnings, at least they feel that way. Or new love. The beginning of a relationship is always fun. That's the best bit, right? The honeymoon phase where everything is blissful, everyone's showing up as their polished best. But not all beginnings, are easy peasy, blissy delight. I was present at the birth of all 3 of my children. And I can testify to the fact that as my wife was laboring, if I'd raised the idea that all the pain she was experiencing was no big deal because of the beauty and joy of the baby to come, she would have taught me something about the experience of pain. I guarantee you that. So we might say that some beginnings, like birth, are even painful. Learning something for the first time can feel like a painful beginning. Often uncomfortable, embarrassing, full of mistakes, failures. You should see me trying to learn Swedish. Painful is an understatement. Conversely, though, there's the idea of beginner's luck. If we don't know how to do something, we often don't know what not to do. So we end up doing that thing exceedingly well because we don't know what mistakes are common. We have no biases working against us. We go in with a fresh mind. So there's this idea that, for me, it's kind of a Buddhist concept, this idea of fresh-mindedness. I find this interesting about beginnings. The Zen master Suzuki Roshi He wrote a seminal work called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And in it, he writes, the mind of the beginner is empty, free of the habits of the expert, ready to accept, to doubt, open to all possibilities. So as we contemplate good beginnings, one question that might surface is, how do we maintain the mind of one who is always experiencing something fresh and new? The mind, as Suzuki Roshi said, that is empty, free of the habits of the expert, ready to accept, to doubt, open to all possibilities. How do we maintain a fresh mind? To be honest with you, I have no idea how we do this. I really don't. So that will be all. Thank you very much. I'm just kidding, of course. Tell you a story. My eldest daughter, she's 19, and rather than go straight to college, she has decided to do some traveling. And as part of this plan, she's gone down to Australia to work as a nanny. She got set up with a good family, got all her visa ducks in a row, saved up her money, had a bon voyage summer of fun with her friends, packed herself up, said goodbye to the dogs. Then her sister, mother, myself, drove her down to the airport in Stockholm, and off she went. Early reports were that she liked the family she's working for, loves Australia, all is well. Of course, in those early days, I was just thinking about her constantly and sort of remembering my own chaotic process of leaving the nest and full of that type of anxiety that a father has. I sent up some prayers to the indigenous ancestors of the great red desert continent down under. I asked them to welcome and protect this foreign child, my beloved daughter. In these prayer moments, I imagined myself telling a group of Aboriginal elders that we had raised our children to be aware of their white privilege, to understand their ancestral history of colonialism. I told them in my prayers that we had taught our children about the beauty and nobility of First Nations people of the world, and that our daughter would respect their land and their culture. In my mind's eye, I thanked these elders and I asked them to tolerate and to protect my daughter while she's a guest there. I thought these were good prayers, respectful. So some weeks went by. Everything was going well until the fender bender. No one got hurt, but there was drama aplenty. We parked on a steep hill, while parked on a steep hill. She was parallel parked. She was leaving and she barely backed into the bumper of the car that had parked too close behind her. And this car that she tapped had not set its emergency brake. And down the hill it rolled, crashing into another parked car and totaling it. So the owners came out and shouted at her with terrible threats and profanity, and the kids she was looking after got freaked out and cried, and the boss mom got freaked out and cried, and my daughter got freaked out and cried, and everybody was freaking out and crying, and it was a mess, and the phone calls home to mom, and luckily there was an adult female witness who saw the whole thing, stepped in, lent a hand, calmed things down. Nobody was hurt. Wasn't entirely my daughter's fault. She barely bumped this other car, which was too close, had no functioning parking brake, et cetera, et cetera. Now, one could make the claim here that what started out as a good beginning had turned sour. Or maybe that my prayers had gone unanswered or had had the opposite effect. But that's not the end of the story. This nanny job with the first family actually ended up being short-lived. That family needed to give my daughter's room away to another family member unexpectedly. So my kiddo was suddenly forced to find a new situation. And we thought, oh my gosh, this is more sour, more bad beginning. But after a couple weeks, she found a new gig that was even better than the first. And that new job also gave her enough time off to get a second job, which she had wanted all along. The second job is waiting tables, which is something she did all throughout high school. And the kicker is she's working for a Michelin-starred chef at a brand new restaurant. So she's just ecstatic, over the moon. She's that kind of kid. Every time she calls home, she's doing backflips saying, "Papa, it's like I'm working at the Bear." I don't know if you've seen this show, The Bear, but it's a wonderful show about a family that opens a high-end restaurant. It's a very spiritual show, actually. If you haven't seen The Bear, take a look. It's wonderful. Anyway, so at various points during this rough beginning of my daughter's Australian walkabout, I was fully prepared to get the call that she's coming home or that we need to hire a lawyer about this car thing or some other damage control deal that dads have to do sometimes. And I've had moments of wondering about these prayers, wondering if maybe I made some kind of insulting spiritual mistake by praying for her protection to the spirits of a land that was stolen by people who look like her. Yet amidst all these worries, I found myself remembering the idea that the point of being human isn't to make our experience all smoothed out and freed of the ups and downs, but rather it's to deepen our contact with the experience itself. I have to assume that if they exist, those Aboriginal spirits down under are probably much smarter than me. Maybe they helped her move into this newer, better situation because they were looking out for her well-being. Maybe they're teaching her about experiencing every moment more fully. Maybe they were teaching her about resilience, about courage. The Buddhist nun, Pema Chodron, she writes in her book, When Things Fall Apart, she writes, "We think that if we just meditated enough, or jogged enough, or ate perfect food, everything would be perfect. But from the point of view of someone who is awake, that's death. Seeking security or perfection, rejoicing in feeling confirmed and whole, self-contained and comfortable is some kind of death. It doesn't have any fresh air. There's no room for something to come in and interrupt all that. We're killing the moment by controlling our experience." She goes on to say that doing this is setting ourselves up for failure because sooner or later we're going to have an experience we can't control. Our house is going to burn down. Someone we love is going to die. We're going to find out we have cancer. A brick's going to fall out of the sky and hit us on the head. Somebody's going to spill tomato juice all over our new white suit. Or we're going to arrive at our favorite restaurant and discover no one ordered produce and 700 people are coming for lunch. She concludes with, the essence of life is that it's challenging. Sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's bitter, sometimes your body tenses, sometimes it relaxes and opens, sometimes we have a headache, sometimes we feel 100% healthy. From an awakened perspective, trying to tie up all the loose ends and finally get it together is death, because it involves rejecting a lot of our basic experience. There's something aggressive about that approach to life, trying to flatten out all the rough spots and imperfections into a nice, smooth ride. I think that what Ani Pema is suggesting here is that we should open to it all. The fun, the boredom, the deliciousness, the grief, the loneliness, the moments of confidence, moments of doubt, the joys, struggles, sorrows, wins, losses, moments of messiness, and moments of sublime synchronicity. Life in a body contains all these experiences, and one could argue that all these experiences are sacred. Not just the ones we label as good or bad, but all our experiences are sacred. One might even say holy. I'll argue for seeing the holiness of our experience for this reason. No human being that has ever been or ever will be will experience reality through your body. Like the endless diversity of the snowflake or the sunrise, no human being will ever have exactly the same experiences that you have or that I have. Every person that has ever lived has seen the world through their own particular filters, and as such, our experiences are the one thing that belong wholly and completely to each and every person who has ever lived. Seen in this way, every single moment that we are alive is a perfect, sacred, holy beginning. Amen. Ahom et takoyas, and may it be so.